Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning. Good morning. Can you all hear me?
Yes, yes, we can.
Wonderful. How are you all doing today?
We are great.
Okay. Good morning. Can you all hear me?
Yes, yes, we can.
Wonderful. How are you all doing today?
We are great.
For those of you who are already online, maybe you can start. Do you see the poll? Maybe you can start answering the poll. I only see 3 people who've answered it.
I've done mine, please.
Okay. So the rest of you who've not answered the poll, please go ahead and answer the poll.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, how you doing?
Hello, we are good. We hope you're also well.
I'm doing very well. I hope all of you have answered the poll. I only see, please try and answer the poll. I see 414. So can we all answer the poll, please? It's 10 o'clock. Good morning. We'll go ahead and start. It's a brand new world, and in this highly competitive world, the brand determines the success of your business or organization called you. The rules are the same. You need to build brand equity, be visible, be authentic, build a positive set of experiences, and to show the world who you are by revealing your true self and your mission. You have to be a brand, or should I say you are a brand, whether you choose to be or not. And branding has to do with your reputation, your character, your legacy, the way others remember you, emotional connections, actions you take, etc. I'm sure most of you have joined today because you want to beef up on your personal branding skills, which is very important. There's a poll that I have put up there. Please try and fill the poll, and I will share the results soon. So, your personal brand falls between how you see yourself and how others see you. Welcome. It's exciting to connect with you. My name is Papa Arkest, and I run a company called Chuck Solutions. I also run an event center, and I started a project during the lockdown called the Virtual Training Hub, where we try to empower people through training virtually. I'm a corporate trainer, keynote speaker, and facilitator, and I'm currently the division director of Toastmasters, an organization that is dedicated to building communicators and leaders. My brand, well, as to what people say about me, is they either call me the Toastmaster, which is somebody who's committed to the organization and to building communicators and leaders, or a relentless optimizer, because I believe in optimizing people. And lately, I'm also referred to as a leader without a title, because I do not let titles define me, but I prefer to honor the positions that we find ourselves in. And I hope that at the end of this engagement, we'll all be clear about how or what direction we want to take our personal brands in. Now, some say personal branding is what they say when you're not in the room. Some say it's equity. Well, we'll determine that as we move along. Today's agenda, we'll be talking about what's in a brand, the U factor, benefits of a good personal brand, the 3 dimensions of a personal brand, which I call AIR, the 6 Ps, brainstorming, branding yourself as a leader or influencer, leveraging branding association, moving from brand awareness to brand assistance, and then share or discuss a roadmap for ensuring that your branding is solid. Please answer the poll. I see only 11 out of 26 people have answered the poll. If we can please try and answer the poll, I want to share the results as soon as possible. Now, while the rest of you are answering the poll, I have a question. What is a brand? And let's try to make this as interactive as possible. So introduce yourself and just answer, what is a brand?
Hi, good morning. My name is
Good morning,
Emily.
Emily.
I don't know, yes. It's an identity.
I love it. It's an identity. Great. Okay. Have you answered the poll, Emily?
I'm trying to, I don't know where to get it from, but
It should be showing on your screen. Are you connecting through the phone?
yes, I am using my phone.
Oh, okay. Just dig around your phone. It should be showing up there.
I'm looking
People
for
are
it,
answering
yes.
it.
Okay, I will try. I'll do my best.
Okay, thank you. Salim, I see your hand up. Yes, what is a brand? Oh, your audio is really garbled. Hello? Hello? Salim, hello, we can't hear you.
Yes, okay. So for me, the brand is actually what differentiates me from another person.
Oh, I like what you're saying, but I can hardly hear. You say a brand is what?
What would differentiate me from another person?
I like
basically
that.
what,
Your unique identifier. What differentiates you
yes.
from another person? I like that. Very interesting. Thank you, Selim. Anybody else? Ama, what's the brand? I see Ama Eja on this call.
Papa, I agree with what Salam said.
Okay.
So, mm,
All right.
mm.
What about Aaron?
I think it's something that identifies you as a unique person.
Something that identifies you as a unique person. Wow. So let's note that everybody is gearing or pushing towards the word unique. So let's keep that in mind. Let me get the opinion of I see Edem Bonsu. You are one of the first here. What is a brand?
Okay, so to me, a brand is how you are perceived by other people based on what probably certain things you've done or certain things you've acquired. So it's how external people perceive you.
Interesting. Okay. All right. And let me take a last person. Kweku Cranton. What is a brand?
Okay, so I think a brand represents what you stand for.
A brand is.
It represents what you stand for.
It represents what you stand for. Interesting. Okay. So everything you've said is correct, and they are all parts of what a brand is. Okay. But for the sake of this engagement, let me say that your personal brand is a strategic process to express your authentic self. Keyword here is what? Authentic, right? By allowing you to be the person you were meant to be, being managed by you, okay, in an effort to build value to yourself and work and attract a positive impression about yourself. Chiseling your individuality and identifying and showcasing the person called you. Should I repeat that? So,
Yeah,
so the
please
key
do.
words here are authenticity, okay, identity, strategy, right, attraction, and value. So, let me ask you a question here. If you knew that your personal brand is the best thing to attract you value, how much time
Yeah,
would you
Mr. Bo, I'm fine. I'm fine, please. Yes, please.
if you knew that your personal brand is the single most important thing that gets you value, that gets you paid more, that improves your relationships, how much time would you spend on a personal brand? Alex Lati, can you answer that question for me? Alex, are you here? Okay, if Alex is not here, Angela?
Hi, Papa.
Yes.
Sorry, I was a little bit distracted. I'll
Okay.
beg of you to repeat the question.
So the question is, if you knew that your personal brand is the single most important thing for ensuring you get value for yourself, ensuring that you're perceived as valuable, how much time would you spend on it?
Well, I'll say that I'll spend virtually all my time because if yeah, I will. Because if that's what projects me, that is what I'm perceived for, that is what I call value, or that's what brings value to me, why not? I will let it occupy a chunk of my time.
Wonderful. So based on your answer, by the time we finish this session, you should be spending all your time on personal branding. Okay. By the way, I think it's important to note this is being recorded. Also, we are streaming on YouTube. And the reason we're streaming on YouTube is because we weren't sure the numbers that were coming. And so when we hit the limit, we want to be able to still get people to be able to access the course. So just something that I just wanted to quickly make people aware of. Then the second thing is please try to name or rename your device with your full name, first and last name, so that if we have any Zoom bombers, we can be careful of them. So please let your friends know as well.
Hi, Papa.
You can't let them in. Yes.
Okay, so I want to know, is there something we call a good brand and a bad brand?
Ha 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 ha. You know, it's I've had people, it's like asking, is there something like a good leader and a bad leader? Okay, or something like a good man or a bad man. Let me put it this way. I prefer to use the phrase effective and ineffective. Okay, so for me, good or bad is dependent on what your morality code is. Okay, so if you think somebody who steals and robs and kills is bad, then if you do those things, you're bad. And anybody who thinks those things are bad, who sees you doing them, brands you as bad. That's a morality thing. It's a character thing. Okay. But when you talk about branding or leadership or any of these concepts, it's about effective and ineffective. Okay. So if you're, and how do we measure effectiveness? It's measured based on success compared to what? The requirement. So if your requirement is to be seen as somebody who's a leader or somebody who's a corporate guru or somebody who's an intellectual or somebody who's an ambassador, but your brand is selling somebody who's a hustler or somebody who's street smart or somebody who is a criminal, then your personal branding effort or your brand is ineffective. Or in this case, the case of this course and the way I look at it, I say you have an unauthentic brand because what you want to see is not what you're seeing. Does that make sense?
Okay, so yeah, yes. It does. So in simple terms, then you can easily say this is a good brand and this is a bad brand. Unauthentic means the person is not authentic, it's not genuine.
Yes, so I prefer you use the phrase this is an effective brand and this is an ineffective brand.
Okay.
Are you getting me? I prefer you use that. So we wouldn't say that maybe Tigo or any other organization brand is bad. You will say, is it effective or is it ineffective? If it's not attracting value to the company, if it's not attracting people to buy, if it's not attracting the customers that you're engaging, then it's ineffective. Okay.
Okay. Because I'm asking this. Sorry, I was actually asking this question because of your definition of a brand, and it looks like it was focusing on more positive features than. So you didn't mention anything with regards to negativity, and I know that some brands can be perceived to be ineffective. That is why I asked this question.
No, I like that. But you see, what you have to understand is that I probably will mention things that can make your branding effective, but I won't focus on that because at the end of the day, we all want our brand. The reason we put effort into our brand is to make it effective, okay? The issue is a lot of times ineffective brands are ineffective, not because the people make them ineffective, but because people don't even focus on them. So if you look at the question I asked earlier and I said, if you knew that your brand is determining your value, how much time would you spend on it? And Angela said, I'll spend all the time. But the truth is most of us on this platform are not spending all our time building our brand, are we? And so I can tell you in authority, even though I've not interviewed all of you, that probably most of you have an ineffective brand because what you want to portray, because you've not put work into building it, is not working the way you would like it to work. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. So let me quickly give the results for the polls. Thank you for your question.
Papa, please, one more thing. I want to find out, per what you have said, does it mean that brands have labels?
Brands have labels?
Yes. Per the ineffective and effective. can we say that for one to be a brand, you need a label, like you are labeled?
I'm trying to be careful to answer your question in the most effective way. Let's say this. Red Bull is a company that sells energy drinks, right? And Red Bull sells their energy drink with the label Red Bull, okay? But because Red Bull was very effective as a brand energy drink and was one of the first, everybody started making energy drinks synonymous with Red Bull. So Red Bull had an intended label that it was putting out. Because a lot of Ghanaians knew energy drinks synonymous with Red Bull, when they started seeing other brands come up like Blue Jeans and stuff, initially everybody would say, I want the type of Red Bull, but not that one, the other one. And so in that case, they were given a label of another company's brand to something else. So to answer your question, the labels are the way people identify. You can say the symbols or the way people use to identify you. You don't have to wear a label. You just have to focus on brand. Brand is a lot more intangible. Label is the way that is what makes it easy for people to process and tag. Okay? So for me, for example, I choose to want to help guide and bring the best out of people. Saying that is long, right? So somebody may find it easier to just say, he's a leader. And it means they've labeled me as a leader. The label makes it easy for people to perceive the brand you're pushing. But sometimes the label can be limiting. So, for example, there was for a long time when I was a Toastmaster, for a long time, well, I'm still a Toastmaster, but for the longest while I started being a Toastmaster, people used to label me as a communicator, but I was striving to become a better leader. So that label can limit you. Okay, so don't focus too much on the label, but focus more on building the brand, and people will perceive or shape it based on their understanding and their knowledge base. I don't know if that what I said makes.
Yes, I get it, please.
Okay, awesome.
Okay,
Let me quickly, thank you for that. Let me quickly end the poll and give the results. So there was a question. Are you a brand? By the way, 33 people voted. Unfortunately, not everybody has voted, but that's fine. Are you a brand or commodity? 23 people, which is 70%, answered, I'm a brand. Nobody answered, I'm a commodity. I guess you don't like the word, even though I'm sure if we take time and look, we may realize that some of us have been acting like commodities, right? Some said, I'm not sure, which I appreciate. Some said, I am both. I appreciate that too. Then for the second question, do you know your purpose? 85% said yes, which I am really impressed with, because that is probably one of the most difficult things for most people to find. So that is already very powerful. If 85% of you truly know your purpose, then this is going to be very useful, because I mean, we've already started on the right tangent. Some of you said no, some of you said you have no idea what it is, and we'll talk about it, okay? Then on a scale of 1 to 10, and I intentionally left a very high range, with 10 being very well branded. How strong is your brand? Now this ranges. We have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 9% saying 4, we have 6% saying 5, but the highest is 6, okay? So 27% of you, which is the highest number, feel like your brand is around 6. Now somebody says 10. I would really like to, I mean, I made it anonymous, so I don't know who said it, but those of you who said 10, at some point, I wish you can share your story so we can all learn from it, because to have a personal brand, to have an effective personal brand of 10, it means that if I ask everybody here quietly to tell me who you are, they're going to use exactly the same adjectives that you would use to describe yourself. So those of you who were the 10, you can private message me so I know who you are, and I'd like you to share some of your results and how you were able to achieve so much, okay? All right, I've shared the results. I hope all of you can see them. I'll give you a minute to look at the results. All right, so let's move on. I love this definition of a brand because it makes us understand how serious personal branding is. A brand is a personal promise. Wow. A brand is a personal promise. What does that mean? It means if I think Amma is this type of person, or I believe that Abigail is that type of person, and I put stock into it, Abigail has made a promise to me. And if Abigail violates that brand, she's violated that promise to me. And we all know how we feel about broken promises, right? So if you're flaunting as somebody who's honest and I catch you in a lie, you just broke a promise. If you are seen as a communicator and one day you find yourself speaking somewhere and you don't sound like you know how to speak, you've broken a promise. If you're seen as a Tigo staff or employee, and Tigo stands for certain values, and people are talking to you and realize, hello?
It's Airtel Tigo, not Tigo.
Oh, sorry, Airtel Tigo. Sorry, violating the brand already. Yes, so thanks for correcting me on that one. So if you're an employee of Airtel Tigo and your brand does not reflect the Airtel Tigo brand, you are breaking a promise. And so we need to be aware of all these things, okay? All right, let me stop sharing the poll. Okay, so personal branding, or the process of personal branding, falls within your personal development. Now, I want a quick response here, if I can. On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is your personal development? Looking in context of your family, the things you have to do, your work, personal development, food, everything else. On a scale of, how important is personal development comparatively? Justice, I don't think I've heard you today.
Yeah, from 1 to 10, I would say it's 10.
Okay, why?
Yeah, like it did mention a brand or branding is a personal promise, and if my talent, my skill, strength, and experience, portray all this. So if my personal development did not, connect with this, obviously I'll be losing out on that. So yes, I would say it's 10.
Thank you very much for that. I see Mary has raised her hand. Mary, what do you think? Mary, your hand is up, yes.
I did raise my hand earlier, way earlier on, but.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have a question?
Yes. How does perception feed into brand? Perception.
Please speak louder. How does perception
feed into brand, that your personal brand?
Oh, I love that. How does perception feed? Let's look at it this way. I said initially when I was defining the personal brand, I said that the personal brand also affects what your value, right? Now, your value of yourself matters, but the value other people place on you also matters, because guess what? You don't live in this world alone, right? So if you perceive that you are worth $1,000 an hour, but I perceive that you're worth to me $200 an hour, and I'm the one paying you, how much do you think you're going to get?
200.
Exactly. So your brand has to be so strong that your perception, the perception other people have of your brand, aligns with the strength of your brand. Do you get what I'm saying? And so the value comes in with your brand when people's perception is shaped by the results you want to see from your brand. Does that make sense?
It does, but it looks like a very difficult job.
Exactly.
To
So
work on
perception is very
yourself.
important. I'm sorry?
Yeah. You have to work on yourself, and you have to make sure that perception is aligned with what you are working at.
Absolutely, And because we're doing this in a corporate environment, some of you may be tempted to think, oh, this is a corporate thing. I need to do it for my career. You couldn't be further from the truth. Let me explain. The reason your personal development is the most important activity in your life, and I'm speaking to the mothers and the fathers as well, because you're probably going to be tempted to say, my kids are the most important, or my this is the most important, or my job is the most important. Guess what? You are only as valuable to your children, to your family, to your house, to your job, based on how willing you are to develop yourself. So as a mother, you can develop yourself as a better mother and give more value to your children. As a father, you can develop yourself to become a better father and give more value to your children. And the interesting thing is, your personal brand, even as a father, as a mother, as a brother, as a sister, affects your children deeply. Why? Because if I truly believe that my father is a leader and I admire him for his leadership, I'm more likely to toe the line of becoming a leader. If I think that my father is an arm robber, but he's telling me to be a good boy, really, which one do you think I'm going to follow? So your personal brand is key, not just for your job, not just for your opportunities, but for the people you care about as well in the world as a whole. And that's why we need to be clear about our personal branding so we shape narratives. So we're looking at you in three aspects. One, you as an asset, okay? Those of you who work for Airtel Tigo and all of you work for Airtel Tigo, you are, I don't want to say you're an asset like a commodity, but you're not a liability. You're supposed to help the organization achieve its goals. But for you to be an asset, for you to help the organization achieve its goals, they need your talents, but the talents are not enough. Just identify. First and foremost, you need to identify your talent. That one, it's a standard. Why? Because it doesn't make any sense for you to have gifts that have been given to you and you don't use them. All right. Some of us are looking for jobs and crying for opportunities. Meanwhile, the free gift that you've been given, you don't even know what it is, which is a problem, right? But talents are not enough. If talents were enough, everybody will be a businessman and everybody will have a job. Companies don't hire for talent, they hire for skills. And skills are talents developed with hard work to become what? More precise. So companies hire for what? For skills, okay? Then let's go beyond the skills. As you're identifying and developing your talents to skills, also be identifying your strengths and also be building on your experience. All these work together to package you to become what? A solid, productive, valuable asset, okay? Now, the key thing, which I hope all of us will be doing in the future, is identifying our talents, developing them into skills, developing those skills into expertise. You see, when you become an expert in an area, then you start what? Rising up the rank in your career. You start, so the skills should just get you in the door, but the expertise will get you to rise. Different departments will need you. So you start moving up because you're needed more and your expertise is needed more to guide more people. But don't even stick at expertise. Move to what? Mastery. Mastery is where you become a guru. And so that's when people move into consultancy and different companies are seeking after them as they build more in their mastery. Now, Malcolm Gladwell in his book says what? In his book Outlier says what? It takes about 10,000 hours for you to build mastery. And this is 10,000 focused, dedicated hours. So whatever your personal brand is, ladies and gentlemen, you should be spending time trying to put in 10,000 hours to develop them well enough so you build the influence, so you build the brand, and so that you achieve mastery. The second one is what? Brand. And that's the image and projected value. That shapes what? The perception that people have of you, and it shapes how much value they give you. And then finally, because I'm very leadership biased, I would say you need to build yourself as a leader and as an influencer. You see, when you're a brand, you're building yourself, you're building your image, but at some point, if that image is influential enough, people will start following you. Now, when people start following you, you need to be equipped as a leader to lead them so you don't lead them into the abyss, okay? So that's why I quickly wanted to mention the bit about leadership. Mary, you can put your hand down now if you don't have any other question. Your hand is still up. Okay.
But I have a question before
Oh, you
we
have a question? I'm
continue.
sorry. I
Yeah,
apologize.
this is
Mary.
Abigail. This is not Mary. This is Abigail.
Okay, I don't see Abigail's hand up. I see Mary's hand up. But Abigail, go ahead.
Okay. I just want to find out from you. You know, all of us do have some downsides to us as individuals.
Okay.
So, and these downsides can actually mar the brand that we build or we are building for ourselves. How do we balance those downsides with our strengths so that we are able to rather project the brand other than the things that would draw the brand down?
Play to your strengths. Play to your strengths. Be honest about your weaknesses. Acknowledge them. Take active steps to fix them. Okay? One thing I've been very open for, and there are different thoughts of this. Certain people feel that when you're in a leadership light, you need to hide your negatives, otherwise it masks the waters, and and so forth and so on, right? I believe I'm of the different view. I believe that you need to be honest no matter what. Okay? People will forgive you if they know you have the right heart. Okay? So I have this challenge, I have that challenge. This is what I'm doing to work towards it. I'm not justifying it. However, these are my strengths. So you focus the conversation around what? Your strengths. Okay? And then you accept your weaknesses, because it's better for your weaknesses to be out there and you're fixing them than for it to be discovered and it looks like you're hiding them. That's when scandals and things come up. Okay? So you need to be very honest. But the worst one is when people deny that weakness. Then it's going to come back and bite you. Okay? But you need to learn to accept it. You need to learn to work through it, but focus and play to your strengths. Everybody has weaknesses, but don't focus on them. Don't dwell on them. Accept them, understand them, manage them, and focus and play to your strengths. Okay, Mary, Angela, I hope was it Angela? I hope that answered
Abigail.
Abigail, sorry. I hope that answered your question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So what are the benefits of a good personal brand, and why are we wasting time even trying to understand what a personal brand is? Let me quickly give you 8. 1, a steady stream of ideal clients. So if you were, for example, working on your own or you were a business, a personal brand allows for what? A steady stream of ideal clients because they believe and they trust you. 2, rewarding relationships, because people know they can trust the brand and they trust that personal promise that you're making. You have better relationships with them. 3, leadership opportunities. If they trust your brand and they believe that you're a leader in that brand, they are willing to follow you through that brand. 4, association with a market niche. 5, greater credibility, okay, ethos, all right? If people know you to be an expert or an authority in a particular area, they're more likely to what? Listen to you. They're more likely to believe what you're saying because you have credibility. You have cred, okay? 6, recognition and prestige. 7, higher perceived value. A lot of times we're complaining about they're not paying me well enough, they're not giving this, but they give this other person that. What brand does the person have? What brand do you have? Those who are flaunting their brand, and unfortunately, some of the people who are being the highest paid are not the best workers. We all know that they're not the best skilled, they're not the smartest, but they've learned to position their brand more effectively than you have. And that's why they're making the higher bucks. So instead of whining and screaming, give me more, build your brand and attract value. Build your brand and attract value, okay? And then the last one is what? Greater influence. A lot of times I'm more interested when I'm dealing with clients in showing them. So I say, you know what, give me a chance to come and show you. You don't even have to pay me anything. Now, when you show them and your brand speaks for itself and it's effective, you will attract the right people who want your business. However, if your brand is not effective, you don't try to make a case by, oh, but I can do this, I can do that, and then shooting your credibility, right? Let the brand do the work for you, okay? Other values or benefits from a brand: achievement, control. Achievement in the sense that you achieve more because you've identified yourself. Control because you're now controlling the narrative. So you're not leaving to chance the perception people have about you. You're actually being methodical and direct about ensuring that you're seen in a particular light. You're controlling the situation. You're controlling the narrative. You're differentiating yourself, which a lot of people have been saying: identity, identity, identity. You create presence. You have a better self-esteem because You know who you are. You're clear about who you are. You're not hiding it. And because of that, you have better self-esteem. You have a better self-understanding, and you get better visibility. These are all benefits of having a good or strong personal brand. Now, let's talk about the concept of AIR, and it's actually an acronym. There's what I call your actual brand, which is your authentic brand. There's what I call your intended brand, which is what you want to intend or what you intend for people to see. And we need to be careful that that intended brand is not an imitation brand. What do you mean by imitation? When you're copying people and try to be like somebody which is not natural to you. And then finally, R is what? Reputation. That is what people finally perceive and the perception people have about you. Okay? Now, let's go back to purpose. And I asked this question, a lot of people answered that 85% of you said you knew what a purpose is. For those who didn't know, your purpose, if you believe that you were made in this world, and even if you don't believe in God, or you don't believe in that you were made in this world, and you think you just happened, things don't just happen. Nature doesn't just happen, okay? The tremor we felt a couple of days ago 3 times didn't just happen. There's something we're doing that is causing the earth to respond, okay? So everything is purposeful, all right? And you're being made and you existing is purposeful. Now, based on that purpose, you were given certain talents, which is something you're not naturally comes to you, okay? Gifts to help you to, let's think of this purpose as a destination, to help you to reach that destination. If you do not know that destination you're going to, you're just traveling all over the place and you're just jumping all over the place. However, if you know that purpose, then everything you do is aligned. The jobs you take, the things you learn, the people you associate with, the relationships, all are aligned. Are you with me? Now, these gifts will help propel you to that purpose. So sometimes when you don't know what your purpose is, when you look at what your natural gifts are, it can steer you towards what your purpose is. Another thing you can look at also is and I'll talk about those things, your assignment, okay? Another thing you can also look at things that come naturally to your strength and all that, okay? So find your purpose, find your talents, find your skills, build value, and then play to your strengths, okay? Now, your values are the guiding principles that determine what you will and will not do, all right? And for me, and I'm not saying that any of you should go and quit your job, but I'm still going to say this. For me, if your personal values do not align with the place you're working, then stop being a fraud and get out. I'm going to say that again. If your personal values do not align with the values of the organization you're working in, stop being a fraud and get out. Why do I say that? Because you're never going to be happy. There's a part of you that is telling you this is how things should be. Meanwhile, to be fair to your employers, you need to toe the line where their values are. So if you're not a fit, you need to get out. I know the market is hard. I know there are no jobs. But if you do not believe in those values, don't apply for the job because you're being a fraud. You're being an imitation, okay? All right, now what is your intended brand? Your intended brand is how you wish to be seen, what you hope to be known for, what value you place on yourself, and who you're trying to be. And I'm saying that intended brand should align with what your actual brand after you've discovered it. So identify your brand and then intend that this is how I want people to see me. And over time, it will become your reputation. Your reputation is what? How you're actually seen, what you're known for, your actual value, okay? All right. So quickly in the chat box, because we don't have too much time, do you think your brand is authentic? If you think your brand is authentic, please put it in the chat page. Do you think your brand is authentic? Okay. I want some answers, please. Do you think your brand is authentic? Okay. I see somebody saying yes. Okay. All right. And there's we don't have a lot of time, but I would have loved to test this. An exercise I originally wanted to do that I had to just worry about time was I'd wanted to get a few people to mention who their friends are, and then their friend. In fact, you know what? Let's do this while we're going on. Identify 2 or 3 of your friends and send me a private message with 4 or 5 keywords that describe them, that you think represent their brand. And I will call them at the end of the session and ask them to tell me what they think their brand is reflecting. And we'll see if the 2 align, okay? So let's have some fun. Send me a name of a friend and add 4 or 5 adjectives that you feel are representative of that friend's brand. And let's find out if our brand is actually true. We've done this exercise in a number of our personal branding trainings. And sometimes you find 2 people sitting each by each other, and what the person thinks her brand is, her own friend who's sitting by her saying something entirely different. It's really interesting. All right, let's quickly talk about what I call the 6 Ps. And now this concept has been developed into 21 Ps, but we don't have time for me to go into the 21 Ps. So let me talk about the 6 Ps. The first one, and these are the 6 Ps that are very important for you to make sure that the life is properly engaged. Purpose. And I already talked about it. That's the destination you're going towards. Okay. The second one is what? Passion. Passion is like that engine that is driving you towards that destination you need to go to. Well, that's an engine, a car will move. Okay. So we need an engine. Now, here's the interesting thing about passion, or you can call it fuel. It's up to you, whatever analogy you want to use. So yes, when the passion is moving, and at some point the fuel runs out, the car stops, you don't move. Okay. Now, here's the interesting thing about passion. Passion is that thing that will drive you even when the excitement of what it is that you wanted to go to is not happening. Okay, so when it starts being fun, when it starts to be hard, when it starts to be difficult, when you're not getting enough sleep, passion is that thing that's going to wake you up and say, hey, right? A couple of friends and I, there's this thing I do sometimes, and we just started a new one called the 66-day challenge, right? And what we do is I get a team of people, they join a WhatsApp group with me, and I have them each writing out what habits they want to change. You know, they say it takes about 66 days. The 21 days is a fallacy. They say it takes about 66 days for you to convert or change a habit. The first 21 days is a bit messy. The second part is a bit, the first 21 days are hard. The second is messy, but the third part becomes what? More beautiful, and everything falls into play. So we just started another one, okay? Which requires me to start waking up at 4 o'clock again. Now, over the lockdown period, I've been enjoying my sleep. Now I'm waking up at 4 o'clock again. And so as I woke up this morning, because I went to bed really late, I was struggling. I said, wow, I really wish I could take in about another hour or 2. All I had to do was remember, oh, have an engagement with Airtel Tigo. Boom. My eyes just woke up because I'm passionate about sharing. And so anytime that I have to share, I get excited, okay? So passion will drive it. And it's very important for you to identify what gives you passion. Now, the next one is what we call pain. What causes you pain? Now, here's the thing about pain. By the way, I didn't ask. Everybody sees my screen, right?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
All right, good.
Yes.
So your pain is your assignment. It's like what you've been assigned, the problem you've been assigned to come and solve in this world. And it's a special assignment for you. Unfortunately, a lot of us are letting money and friends and impressions and prestige determine what we think is our assignment. So we're all moving where the masses are moving. But that is not your assignment. I'm sure each of you has had a friend who always reacts to certain things explosively and almost seems like they're mad. You say, oh, this guy has problems, his screws are loose. For example, for me, my pain has to do with, and that's why I realized that I had to go into training. My background is actually in technology, okay? I studied technology all the way to master's. E-government, when I was in Korea, I did computer science in undergrad, okay? But I'm spending a lot more time doing communication and training. Why? Because ignorance really rubs me the wrong way. When people don't want to learn, when people don't want to expand their mind, when people feel comfortable in their ignorance, it makes me mad, okay? That's my pain. And so if today I decide, you know what, this training thing, I'm tired. I'm not even going to do it anymore. I'm not helping anybody. Let me go to bed. It will keep me up at night because I will never be happy unless I'm solving that problem. For some, it's street children. You may have a friend, you're driving with her, all of a sudden she sees the street child and starts screaming. And right, you say, why are you so angry? Why are you so mad? Because it's connected to her pain. You will never understand because it's not your pain. And each one of us has a pain. Find it. That's the problem you're supposed to be solving. And you see, all these elements I'm mentioning cut into your authenticity. So you will never find a time when you're not pretending. So you don't drop the ball anywhere because you don't forget to pretend. If you're somebody who anybody will tell you, look, you meet me the first couple of minutes, I'm already trying to advise you. I'm already trying to share something. I'm already trying to share some knowledge. It's me. I'm not pretending. And so you won't catch me somewhere where the script is changed. And it's the same for all of you. If you find that purpose, you find that passion, you find that pain, it's natural to you. Okay? Then when you figure these three things out, the next thing is you need to figure out what makes you profit, because obviously you need to eat, you need to survive, you need to put food on the table. So what gives you what? Profit. Okay? Then after you're able to give profit, then you ask the next question, what gives me pleasure? And all these have to be aligned to your purpose. So if you know that your purpose is to be a pastor, and you know you're serving God and you're supposed to be moral, and then you need to you need to cut out on the strip clubs if you're going to strip clubs, like, you understand, because that pleasure doesn't map with the purpose that you're working towards. Okay? And then finally, philanthropy. Okay, when you've taken care of self, you need to start what? Also looking out and helping others. We don't live in this world alone. So, but your philanthropy, you see, a lot of times we go to the easiest option, which is, hey, I want to share, I want to help people, let me go and give them money. But it's not always about money. Sometimes you can share more to people, or you can be more of a philanthropist from the gifts you have. You're giving off your gifts. So if for you it's speaking, you speak to people. If for you it's business, you can help people grow their businesses. If it, you can give off those gifts. So that purpose, that passion, that pain, that profit, that pleasure, all should guide how you even give what? Philanthropy, right? All right. I sent you a workbook. I don't know if it was sent to you, but in case you didn't fill the workbook, that's okay. Quickly take a paper and a pen, and I hope everybody has at least a book and a pen, because nobody comes to a masterclass without taking a pen and paper, okay? But if you have the workbook, please open it up, and if you said it, please open it up. If you don't, just take a pen and paper, draw 4 lines, draw a table like this, okay? Now I want you to quickly put in there things you love, things you're good at, things that make you money, and things you think the world needs. Quickly, I'm giving you 5 minutes. Is it clear to everybody what I'm asking you to do? Mr. Oredu, is it clear?
Yeah, Papa, it's clear.
Okay. Thank you. So 5 minutes.
Can I get the areas again, please, Papa?
It's on the screen. Things you love.
It's on your screen,
No,
please.
I'm sorry? Hello? I
It's
didn't hear
not.
the
It's
question.
not on my screen.
It's not on your screen. Oh, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Okay, so things you love. So you draw a table, right? The first column will have things you love. The second column will have things you're good at. The third column will have things that make you money. And the fourth column is things the world needs. Now, mind you, it's okay if some of the things are repeating in other columns, okay? So you can have something repeating in all 4 columns, it's fine. But let's just write. Don't think too hard about it, just write, just put it down. So 5 minutes.
Papa,
Yes.
is it possible to not have a clue on what the things you think the world needs, or the things that you think will make you money, or the things that you think you're good at?
That is fine. That just means that you need to start figuring it out. It means you need to start that journey.
Okay.
You need me. I mean, look, guys, I'm not even gonna, and that's why I was surprised when I saw the 85%, because in most of these workshops, I'm lucky if I even get 1 or 2 people who tell me they know what their purpose is. So I was really impressed when I saw the 85%. But the truth is, look, I've done enough of these to know that there are a lot of people in Ghana, well, in the world, period, who don't even know what their talents are. I respect it. It's fine. But also remember that, I mean, if you're a Christian, or and I'm sure it has references in other religions as well, there's a story about the talents and the fact that if you don't use those talents, they'll be taken away from you. Okay? So if you don't know them, that's fine. But we need to start working towards knowing them. Okay? Oh, I've already received 1 response. I'm going to be calling somebody out in terms of their brand. Okay? So if you don't know what your talent is, that's okay. But you need to make a conscious effort from today. Let's just say you've started your life afresh. Your sins are forgiven. Start afresh, you know. But you need to start figuring out what your talents are, because I think it's very ungrateful if you're somebody who believes in the existence of God. I think it's ungrateful for you to be given a gift. It's like I've come to your house, I've given you a gift on your birthday, you throw the box in a room, you lock it, you never even look at it. I mean, come on. That's not fair, right? So we all need to figure out what our talents are. But if you don't know it right now, that's okay. I respect that. Just start figuring it out. If you don't know what you love, that's okay. But I mean, can you imagine living life with nothing you love? And I'm not saying that that's not the case. A lot of people are living like that. But that's really, do you really want to live that life? Why would you want to live your entire life being sad? I mean, there are some people I've met and I know whose life is so purpose driven that they feel that they were just put in this world to follow a certain, so what my parents want, now I have to get married, now what my husband wants, now what I'm supposed to do as a woman or as a man, boom, that's it. They don't love anything, they have no passion, they don't care about anything in the world, they're just following a job, and that's okay. I understand we live in this world that makes rules and we live in a system that puts it, but now I'm telling you, you have permission, you were designed to love, to feel. So if you don't love anything, that's okay. But you need to start finding something you love. Let's start today.
Amen.
If you don't think you're good at anything, trust me when I tell you, take it from me, believe me. I hope I've earned enough credibility for you to believe me. You are good at something. It's not that you're not, you've just not identified it. I've heard so many people tell me, I mean, I'm not good at anything. That's a lie. You are good at something. You just need to date. There's something called dating yourself. You just need to spend enough time with yourself, date yourself, spend enough time to find out what you're good at. Experiment, and you'll be amazed at what you're good at. Okay? Things that make you money, fine. I can appreciate it. All I'm saying is just think about a couple of things that you think will make you money. Then we'll look at how they align. Okay? And then things the world needs, just look around. Just look around. The world is not perfect. So anything that you think will help the world become better in its imperfection is what the world needs. Right? Right now, the world needs love. People need to connect. People are missing hugs. People want to be healthy because of COVID-19. And we, even now more than ever, we need leaders. So we need people who even know what to do. Can you imagine World Health Organization, from what I found out today, has turned around and is now saying that people who are asymptomatic with COVID-19 now are not infectious. I don't even know how far that's true. I'm just waiting for the results to come in. But it just tells you that in this world that we're in, we're so clueless, right? There's so much we're learning from COVID-19. So you want to be living, you want to be building your brand through all this noise. Okay, now 5 minutes is up. Let's quickly go to the next screen. So based on whatever you wrote, you have what you're good at, you have what you love, you have what the world needs, you have what you can do for money. Now, where what the world needs and what you can do for money connects, that's your vocation. Where what you're good at connects with what you can do for money, that's your profession or your career.
Papa, come back again, please.
Come back where?
Your very first statement.
Okay, so you can see the concentric circles, right?
Yes, I can see it on my screen.
World, I'm sorry? Yes, you can.
I can see it on my screen. Yeah.
Okay, so what the world needs, where it coincides with what you can do for money, is your vocation.
It's what?
Your vocation. Okay. What you're good at, where it coincides with what you can do for money, is your profession.
Okay.
What you love, where it coincides with what you're good at, is your passion. And then what you love, where it coincides with what the world needs, is your mission or your assignment. Okay? But you want to be in the middle when you're building your brand, where all the four coincide. Are you with me? So you see how refined that corner is, where all those four coincide. Boom. That should be working on your personal brand. Did anybody have anything that cut across the four boxes? Okay, silence means no. That's fine. It just means you need to keep writing, you need to keep discovering, you need to building So you find out one thing that cuts across the different boxes. And if you do find out one thing that cuts across the different boxes, work on it like crazy, develop it like crazy, because you're onto something. All right. So what are your assets? Your values are your assets in your quest to build your personal brand. Your vision is your asset. Now, most of you, I hope that I don't think I have enough time to go into personal statement, but do me a favor, when we finish this course today, go and read about writing personal statements and have a personal statement. Also develop a vision for your life. It's very important, okay? It helps put strategy in how you develop your life, all right? And where you want your personal brand to go. Your talents, discover your talents and build them into skills and expertise. Those are assets. And then also don't discount your insight, things that you've built over time with your experience and your knowledge. They are very important, all right? Now, your personal brand touches on your perceived value. It attracts people to you. It determines the quality of your relationships. But when that has happened, you need to build what? Leadership. Now, I have this attitude these days where when anybody tells me about a problem in their organization or with a team they are working with, I always come back and I say, and I'm not trying to be insulting, but I always say it's a problem of leadership, because I've come to realize the power of having sound leadership. Everything rises and falls on leadership. Leadership is influence. It's the driving force in any organization. And so when you want to build your brand and you're turning your brand into something more that goes beyond you, you need to build up on what? Your leadership as well. Now, in Toastmasters, we believe that effective leaders are effective communicators. They are open-minded, they are optimistic, they lead by example, and they demonstrate integrity. That's what we believe, okay? But I also want to borrow this concept from John Maxwell, which I think is solid. He has a book called The 5 Levels of Leadership that I encourage you all to read. And to give you a synopsis on the book, he talks about 5 levels that every leader has to go through, okay? And the first level is the position. So a lot of you have positions here. That's okay. But the fact that you have a position doesn't make you an effective leader. Now, over time, as you build relationships with people or based on your brand, your personal brand, people may start to give you what? Permission to lead them because they believe in your brand and they support your brand. Okay? Then as they give you permission to lead them, over time, when you start performing, okay, 2 people just dropped off the call. I hope they are not leaders that are running away because of what I'm saying. But anyway, that was just a joke. So 3 is to start producing. When you start producing results, people start following you because of what you've done, what you've achieved. This guy is a performer. This guy has achieved, right? But it's not enough. You see, and this is where we have a big problem, in this part of the world. We may grow through 1, 2, 3, but then the next stage is building other people. We need to learn to develop other leaders. Otherwise, an organization doesn't grow. So people development. People follow you because of what you've done for them. Developing people, what you need to do is you need to, first and foremost, can you hear me?
Yeah, Papa, can you please mute Nigel?
I'm sorry?
Yes, we can hear you, Papa.
Please mute Nigel. She's distracting us.
Oh, sorry. Very sorry about that. Let me mute her. Oh, I think she's muted herself, Grant. Ha ha ha. Okay, thanks, Nigel. All right. So when you're developing people, first you do what you want them to do. Then you do it with them. Then you let them do it while you watch them. And then finally, you let them do it by themselves. And then finally, you let them teach or help somebody else to do it. Guys, we need to realize something. And this is something that in Ghana for a long time was not common. When we're growing up, everybody wanted to hide what they've learned because, hey, I don't want you to steal my apple. Me, I'm hiding it. I'm not sharing it. But that was so counterproductive because what we didn't realize was that actually, if you look at the learning pyramid, which I'll encourage you all to go and look at in Google, you retain 90% of what you've learned only when you teach. You retain 5% when you read, you retain 10% when you lecture, you retain about 50% in discussions, you retain about 70% in demonstration. But when you teach somebody else, that's why you retain. That's why I know I'm in the best field ever. Because you see, everything I learn, I get to what? Share. And when I share, I reinforce my learnings. Isn't it beautiful? And so as a leader, if you're not developing other leaders, you can't be moving up the ladder. You can't be effective. And you have certain leaders say, my job, my work, it's not easy. I can't even leave it. I can't do this. Hey, the pressure, guy, you're setting yourself up. For me, the first thing is, can I train somebody quickly? I don't even want to be around. So I mentioned an event center I run. I hardly am in the office. I just basically sign checks at the end of the month and look through what's being done because I've developed my operations manager who handles most of the stuff. But if you don't build other leaders, you're going to have a problem. And we find that in a lot of, I do a lot of coaching for corporate organizations and things like that. We see this happening over and over again, where certain leaders are not developing the people under them, and they are always complaining about the people under them, but they're not developing them. All right. So next, I also want to recommend another book. Please, these two books I've told you, if you've read them, read them again. If you've not read them, please, I know not all of us like to read. Please read them. If you can't read them, get the audiobook. These are good books. They've done a lot for me, and I'm sharing them with you. They should do a lot for you. Now, this one is based on Dr. Cialdini's 30 years of research on the concept of persuasion and influence. It's called Persuasion, okay? And these are 6 principles I gathered from the book, and I hope that you read it and get more insight into them. If you want to influence, remember I said leadership is influence, so you need to understand the strategy of influence. If you want to influence, first and foremost, you need to be consistent, okay? So people are influenced when they see people doing consistently the things that they say they want to do. So if you're somebody who communicates, they want to see you communicate consistently. If you're somebody who's always helping at the office, they want to see it consistently. It takes a while for people to now say, okay, this person really has this brand. But personal branding requires consistency. That's the first thing. Secondly, likability. Now, when I say likability, I'm not saying be popular. Likability comes from you giving value. When you give value, people also respond by what's giving you value. So likability. The third one is what? Authority. When you're an authority on a subject or you're an authority in a particular area, people are more influenced by you because it ties to what? Ethos. Reciprocity. When you give value, people want to give it back. So for example, when you're going to speak to somebody, you're going to train, you're going to do a service, you're dealing with a customer, you want to ask yourself, what value can I give them? Before you even think about how much money they'll give you. And they'll be influenced to give you value back. But if you don't give them value, it's a problem. So reciprocity works. Social proof. People like to see exemplification or exemplary leadership or exemplary demonstrations of the things you're saying. So we are people who like to see social proof. You need social proof. That's why testimonials help a lot in church, right? And that's why a lot of people or a lot of customers or companies use testimonials to tell you how other customers are loving what they're saying. And then scarcity. Now, when I say scarcity here, I don't mean remove yourself from the market and make you scarce, but I'm saying when you create a uniqueness about you that makes you unidentifiable in anyone else, you're a scarcity and your value grows, okay? All right, so what we want to do is what? Make sure that we're building brand equity. At the end of the day, brand equity is what? The value in your brand, okay? Now, what are some quick steps to do that? First and foremost, through brand association, okay? So who are you associating with? Who are you spending time with? What are you spending time with? What characteristics are you noted for? What kind of benefits do we know we get from you? That association makes your brand grow in what? Our mind and the way we see it. But in brand association, you want to ensure that what? There's brand awareness. What do we mean by brand awareness? And I'm sure there are some marketers here. Are there any marketers here? People in the marketing field here? No? Okay, that's fine.
Yes.
All right. Yes? Okay, great. So please, the marketers correct me when I go off tangent. All right. So brand awareness, that means, do you have visibility? Do people know that your brand exists? Do you have defined characteristics? Have you grown? Do people even know, how to perceive you? Okay. Now, having brand awareness is not enough. It's better when you have what? Brand preference. That means people always prefer to go to you or your brand than any other brand. Do you go above and beyond? Do you create a better experience? Do you always go up? Do people prefer dealing with you? All these things help you to what? Build brand preference. So to use commodities, for example, if you are looking for toothpaste, but you prefer Pepsodent, when you go into a store that sells toothpaste, so long as there's Pepsodent, you always prefer to go for Pepsodent, or you go and pick it. You won't pick Colgate or anything else, right? But the final one is what? Brand insistence, okay? Brand insistence means what? It's you or nothing else. So if it's Pepsodent, you go to the store may have 99 other products. You say, no, I'm not interested. There's no Pepsodent, so I'm out, okay? That should be you. Your brand should be so strong that people insist this is the person we want. You know, there's a story about Richard Branson that some guys were trying to get to a program and they offered him $100,000 to come to the program. He said no. They offered him $200,000. They said no. $300,000. They said no. $500,000. The person said no. Just to come and speak for an hour, not anything major. And so at this point, they were frustrated because as part of their campaign, they had used Richard Branson's name. And so for him, that brand was an insistence. Of course, later they found out, they told him, look, name your price, we'll meet it. The reason he wasn't coming, which is a totally different course, I'm not going to talk about it here, was the fact that his PA said this year, Richard Branson has 3 strategic areas that he's spending time in. And being paid to speak at engagements is not one of them. So it had nothing to do with the money. It didn't matter even if they offered him $1 billion, okay? He had focused on certain things he wanted to do this year. Which, by the way, in your branding, you need to also learn how to say no. If there's something that does not help build your brand, maybe you should learn to say no. Your ability to say no is just as effective as your ability to say, remember that. And by the way, every time you say no, you're actually saying yes. Anytime you say yes, you're saying no to an infinite number of things because your time is being blocked. So we need to learn to say no. But that's just, by the way, I wanted to use that as an example. As a leader, the key things you need to think of as a leader is how do I lead up, which is lead your bosses, lead your leaders, okay? How do I lead across and how do I lead down? And today's course is not for that, but I would have loved to go into some of the strategies for leading up. But let me give you 1 or 2 strategies. The best way to lead your boss, because some of you may think of this as a foreign concept, the best way to lead your boss is to make yourself dependable, to make sure that they trust you, to make sure that they can count on you. Once they can do that, they will start being influenced by you. Remember, leadership is influence. And so it doesn't matter that they have a higher position, you will start influencing them, and as such, you will start leading them. But that's for a different conversation for another time. So, are you a Tigo, Airtel Tigo? Sorry, hey, Charlie, why did I put this? I'm going to get shot by the marketing people here. Okay. Are you an Airtel Tigo brand ambassador? All right. And to be an Airtel Tigo brand ambassador, you need to know what the Airtel Tigo values are. All right. So can somebody quickly tell me what the Airtel Tigo values are? Yes, thank you, Precious. Oh my goodness. If you guys were silent, I would have been so embarrassed because I'm sure your bosses are here or your marketing guys are here and they will not be happy if they don't know, if they feel that you don't know your values.
Simplicity,
Precious, go ahead. Precious, go
transparency.
ahead.
Simplicity, transparency, and relevance.
So let me ask you a question. In your dealings, do your customers or your friends see you as simple in the way you do things? Or are you complicated? Do they see you as transparent or are you convoluted and trying to hide things? And what's the last one, Precious?
Relevance.
Relevance.
And are you relevant? Are you making yourself relevant in the way you do work or the way you connect? If you're not doing this, hint, hint, your values are not aligning with the organization's values. You need to do a reality check. Okay? What is expected of each employee? Can somebody tell me that? Somebody else was talking before. Can you tell me what is expected of each employee? Can anybody tell me what is expected of each employee?
Yes, each employee is supposed to demonstrate these 3 values in their everyday activities.
Okay, everybody is supposed to live these 3 values in their everyday activity. Okay. All right, beautiful. But have you all seen your concept around ways of working? Have you seen that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So what? Win every day. Commitment made, are commitments kept.
Control the controllables.
Well, the average to deliver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Think and act like a what?
Owner, a business
Owner,
owner.
a business owner.
Connect with the
market.
Beautiful. Stay healthy, keep
Safe.
And what's the last one?
Plan well, execute better.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. So you need to know these things to live the values of Airtel Tigo. All right, very important. And so your personal brand needs to be aligned with that and showcasing that. Otherwise, you're working against the organization. So when you have people in the organization whose brands are selling something else than what the organization's brands are, that's a problem. They're detracting from the organization. All right. So quickly, 3 steps to success. Step 1, define your brand clearly, visualize it, take active steps to achieve it. 2, grow the brand. And 3, maintain it and avoid doing anything to destroy it. Mind you, even if you build a strong brand or an effective brand, that brand can also be what? Be affected by certain events. So you need to be careful, okay? That's why it's important to be authentic. So if you look at these 3 concentric circles, what are people currently thinking of you? What do you want them to think of you? What don't you want them to think of you? Okay? And then what? What they're currently thinking of you, if it aligns with what you don't want them to think of you, that's bad. Okay? What you want them to think of you and what you don't want them to think of you, you need to make sure that what you're doing more of what you want them to think of you and you're doing less of what you don't want them to think of you. But somewhere in the middle is the brand that you're building. All right? So let's quickly talk about the roadmap. First and foremost, identify and define your purpose. Okay? Make sure that you're clear. Write down your values because these are supposed to be the guiding principles through which you work. Mind you, when you violate a value, it works against your integrity because if you say, I value friendship, but then your life or you do something that shows that you don't value friendship, that's a lie. You lied on your personal promise and that's an integrity issue. So you need to be clear about your values and live those values. Promise, know what you're promising the world and stick to that promise. Know your strengths, know your talents, know your skills, okay? Do your research to find out what type of brand you want to align with, how you want to be perceived, okay? And how you're already being perceived, all right? Alex, do you have a question?
Yes.
Alex, do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question. I want to know how you can differentiate between passion with regards to what you do and being sentimental with regards to what you do.
Okay, you're asking me hard questions. Being sentimental, passion. I'm guessing that you are using sentimental here as a negative word.
Yeah, sort of.
Okay. So what you're saying is what? Don't be too. Let me. Because we use these words wrongly in different contexts, sometimes it makes it hard to separate what people are trying to do. But let me see. Are you saying that don't take your job personal?
Yes.
I see what you mean. Okay. The problem is not being passionate about it. The problem is being toxic about it. There's nothing wrong. Look, in fact, based on what I've achieved in this world, and based on the things I've been through, and based on some of the negative things I've dealt with, I've come to realize that if you want to be able to do the impossible, if you want to do amazing things, you will work against the grain, okay? And the only way to survive against the grain is to take it absolutely obsessive. And when I say obsessive, excuse me to use tree, what fun World Cup? Isn't that what we say? If you don't take, I've come to realize if you want to
I like that one.
and you don't take the World Cup, forget it. Okay, I know pressure.
But sometimes, can I have a question? Sometimes too, when you take it like World Cup, they see you to be arrogant,
so I'm arriving at something. Something. Okay. So pressures will tell you that, Charlie, when it comes to communication, when it comes to leadership, when it comes to Toastmasters, I take it World Cup. Pressures, am I lying? If I'm lying, please tell the people who.
This is true.
I take a World Cup, okay? But I also have learned that sometimes people are in different stages of their lives. So there was a time when if I come and tell you communication is very important to you and you're not taking it serious, I guarantee you. Like, how can you not be thinking? How can you not realize that communication is so important? But that's my point of view. You understand? So even though I know it's important to you, I need to respect the fact that you have a different point of view. Are you with me? Even in relationship, sometimes in your mind, and I'm not saying this to discount fathers, but sometimes in your mind, the mother feels like, oh, the child needs A, B, C. The father thinks, you cry, you're overdoing it. What was? And then all of a sudden you're screaming. You're so insensitive. No, people are built differently. Okay? So take it World Cup, but don't force it on somebody's throat. And that's what manage your emotions, don't judge other people because they don't. Sometimes taking things World Cup mean being patient. You know, there's a song by Kujenchi, Me Tonko Semendai. I love that song. It's like, I'm watching you. I'm acting like I'm not seeing you, but I'm there. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. Sometimes you tell somebody something, the person doesn't take the advice. You know, my mother used to do that. It's amazing because they know where you're going. They've learned it, they've lived it. They know you're going to fall into that trap. They tell you, they want to protect you. You know, they're taking the World Cup, but they know when the more they do that, the more you recall, the more you step away. So they intentionally pretend they're not seeing you. They're just watching. Just watching. You're just watching. The moment you slip and you realize, hey, you scream, hey, I'm falling in the ditch, they catch you. They say, I told you, I told you, I told you. At that moment, they are ready to listen to you. But if you are passionate and you are screaming, but people are not ready to listen, my brother, you just piss them off. So don't lose the passion, don't lose the sentimentality. Just be more tempered around it. Just do not force it down people's throat. I don't know if I've answered your question.
Yes. Yes, you have.
Okay. No, the original gentleman who has the question.
Yeah, I get it.
No, this is your year. I'm not trusting.
Because
what's the problem? Talk to me. Talk to me.
Because you know, sometimes if you are pushy, if you stick to the values and all that, you are being branded as in. I mean, there comes the no person, the arrogance type, as in the opposing everything. When you try to stand your ground firmly, sometimes that is how you are tagged as the known type. You know. Meanwhile, whatever it is you are standing by, is the right thing.
Don't compromise your values.
So let me.
If people are going to diss you because of your values, then please. Do you understand
Papa,
what I'm saying?
let me give you an example.
Okay, please do.
So I'll just share a simple scenario. So I used to do some consultancy for some business, and I proposed things that will help, and they felt no, it wouldn't. So just like you said, I said, okay, if they feel what I'm proposing wouldn't help, okay, let's go with what they're proposing. Then we went on and on and on, and we realized what they proposed wasn't working. So we came back to what I was proposing. Then it happened again. That was with regards to a different thing. Then it was going to happen again, and I said, no, this one I won't let you do what you are proposing. And that was where the sentimental thing came. So, like you said, me tonkoso me die. This time I said no, we won't do this. You understand? So,
my brother, let me tell you something. Let me give you an answer to your
okay,
situation.
go on.
Because what you've described is exactly my life in the public service. Okay, anybody will tell you. I remember one time one banker screamed at me. He said, "Papa cares emotional intelligence." So I decided to take emotional intelligence very because I used to flare up. Okay, but let me tell you something. When you have in your values ownership, right? Treating it like you own it, your business. When you start taking ownership, it's not just about owning the property, it's also owning the process and owning the people. And when I say owning, I don't mean somebody belongs to you, but owning the relationship. So when you start taking ownership, something amazing happens. You see, when I decided that I want to be a better leader, and I want to influence the people around me, I stopped looking at people for their faults and started figuring out how I can get their strengths to work with me. Okay? So once I did that, now whenever there's a problem, I don't blame people. I reflect and ask myself, what could I have done better? So I'm giving it in your scenario. And I'm not saying you've not done a good job. I'm just saying that this will give you better control, okay? So these guys have done it 3 times. You have won them. First and foremost, do they know they've done it 3 times? Do they accept that you were right both times? And so have you built credibility for them to accept that, look, when you say something, it's true? And thirdly, are you an influence onto them? You see, they're not listening to you because it means you're not influencing them. So in your mind and in your world, you're right. And I totally respect that. But in their world, you're not influencing them. So now it's not just about being right. Now you need to figure out, okay, when I'm right, how do I learn to effectively present my case so I can influence them to take it, what I'm saying, because we do not have the time and we cannot afford to fail. Okay, let me give you an example. Let's say COVID-19, for some reason you have, let's even say you have a dream, yes, that COVID-19 is about to hit Ghana tomorrow. So all of us have to sleep, all have to stay in the house. Okay, this dream is vivid. You've had cases where, you know, you've had visions and they've come true. Do you think if you walk onto the street and start announcing that COVID-19 is going to happen, anybody will listen to you? They won't, right? However,
no, it's your dream, so
exactly. No, but if you find somebody, let's say if the president respected you and understood your dreams, and you called the president and told him this, wouldn't you have a better chance of getting people to follow?
Yeah, that's because the president said.
Exactly. So remember what we said. Now you know that you can perceive these things. It's a gift you have. You're able to perceive when things are getting wrong. You're able to analyze better than other people. But unfortunately, you've not built your brand. You've not built your influence. So what's the first key? Guys, can somebody guess? What's the first thing? Oh, okay.
Purpose.
Brand association. Yeah, purpose is important, but now he's gone past that. So brand association.
Yeah, so at that point, you get someone who has built a brand more enough to influence other people.
Exactly. Associate with somebody who has more credibility and influence than you do. And when that person does that, mind you, the person has to trust you because he's also putting his brand on the line. If he lets them do it and it doesn't work out, he's losing on his credibility. So he's a risk. But when that person does that and you happen to be right, what happens is that person's brand even gets stronger, but so does yours. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
So instead of being sentimental about it, and it's not a bad thing, instead of demonstrating sentimental, because the sentimentality is not the problem. The problem is how you demonstrate it. Find an effective way to communicate, to persuade, to influence, so that they toe the line you want them to toe. Does that make sense?
Sure, very well.
Wonderful.
Right.
Okay, so I ended on do your research. Let's quickly say, then do your brand assessment. At branding, you always need to test your brand. And what are some ways of testing your brand? By going ahead and talking to people, by connecting with people, by discussing things with people. And then the next thing is what? The next thing is calibrate. What do we mean by calibrate your brand? Calibrate your brand. How do you calibrate your brand? You calibrate your brand by doing what? By making sure that your intended brand, your actual brand, your intended brand, and your reputation are connecting. Okay? So make sure that you connect on that level. All right. And then finally, when your brand is calibrated, when your actual brand, when you're being authentic, when you're being intended, when your reputation is rising, when you know that you are correct, you are aligned with your purpose, your values, everything is correct, then please flaunt your brand. There's nothing wrong with flaunting your brand. I love that. Oh, but me, I don't do that. Oh, but me, I don't want to be a show off. Oh, me, I'm in my lane. Massa, people are collecting better pay because of you, because you're not flaunting your brand. So I beg, don't try to be all, what's the word about it? All modest. Thank you, sir. Modest. Look, let me tell you something. Me, myself, I'm a big corporate of that. So lately, I've started flaunting my brand. And so many people used to complain, say, oh, guys, Charlie, Charlie. Now I've even put out my website because look, at the end of the day, it affects the money that comes in your pocket. I'm sorry. You will see some, look, I have been to programs where certain people are speaking, are invited to speak. And I listened to it, I said, seriously? And people tend to say, Papa, you're better than me. This person, I said, what has that done for me? You're telling me I'm better than that person. The person standing on the stage is collecting $5,000. I'm sitting here, you're telling me what? But the problem is because you're not building your brand. You see what I'm saying? You're not building your brand. The last time John, and I'm a big fan of John Maxwell, okay? The last time John Maxwell came here, he was coming here. I think the breakfast program was about 5,000 CDs, you know, and I quickly got my money, 5,000 CDs ready to go. Then I checked and I couldn't even get a ticket. The site said sold out or something like that. I was like, hey, so I won't see John Maxwell. He's come to Ghana, I won't connect, you know, because I use him in a lot of my lessons. Then all of a sudden, somebody called me and said, hey, Papa, I've gotten a hookup ticket. It's coming to like 2,500. Are you willing to pay? I said, look, I want the ticket. I want to go for the program. Call me. Guess what? At the end of the day, somebody else called me because of my personal brand and said, you know what, Papa, I think you'll be the best person to come and MC the program. So I ended up going to the John Maxwell program that I was about to spend 5,000 CDs for free. And not only just that, when I got there as the MC, the person said, you know what, before John comes out to talk to everybody, would you like to talk to him personally? So I had a one-on-one private session with him. We talked, we took pictures before the guy even came out. And that was only possible because of my personal brand as a communicator and somebody who can effectively speak. Can you see something like that? And I can give you a lot of other examples where my personal brand has saved situations where if it wasn't because of the brand, I would not have had that opportunity. Okay. So it's very important for us to build our personal brand. Okay. So let me take something that Robert Kiyosaki says. He says, if you're not a brand, you are what? A commodity. All right. And if we've not been intentional, maybe we need to ask ourselves, are we really a commodity? And what should we be doing? Okay. A commodity, we all know how commodity prices are determined. The market determines it. We throw it all over the place. And we also know how brands are perceived and how they do in the market. Right? So you have to make a choice of which one you're going to be. All right. Time is fast spent. Let me just quickly take a few questions and then we can wrap up. But before I do that, remember when I started, I said what? That I'm a Toastmaster. Do you guys remember? And Toastmasters is an organization that helps people to build communicators and build leaders. So for those
I used to be a member.
And what happened? You used to be a member. And what happened?
Stopped it.
I'm sorry?
Yes. You know, we stopped it. So the leaders left. Apparently, they all left.
Hey, which club is that you stopped and everybody left? Wait, are you in there? I'm sorry?
Airtel.
Yes,
Airtel.
Of course. Yeah. Airtel, I won't say that. I won't say the story.
Oh.
Good to me.
Papa, it was a good thing we were having.
It was
Airtel.
a good thing, you know.
It was a very good thing. And
yeah, but you guys broke my heart. I used to come and
so now, you know,
I'll come from
when I'm
office
speaking.
Eh?
You have to be mindful of the M's and the So's and the what have you. Papa, you did a good job. Thank you. Thank you.
It taught us one good thing.
Yes, great, Papa, you did good.
Papa, when I heard Toastmaster, I thought you used to toast bread on a lighter note.
Hey.
Nah, we don't toast bread, we don't toast ladies. We help people communicate, and we hear it all.
I didn't add that.
You were saying, hello?
Yeah, I was saying that the other one, I didn't add that. I only said bread.
Hey,
okay.
Who is that?
All right. So I see 72 people on this program right now. If 20 of you are serious, in fact, I just need 19 because Precious is already a Toastmaster. So if 19 of you are serious about having a Toastmasters program in Airtel Tigo, just put your name, send your names in the chat page, and I will personally put the list together and come and talk to your HR people. In fact, Amma is here. I know Amma can also help me push it. Amma, I'm calling you out. So please help me. If you are interested in seeing a Toastmasters page, Toastmasters is only $65 the first 6 months. After that, it's $45 every 6 months. Okay, first and foremost. Secondly, okay. Then secondly, what is it called? Maybe your company may even pay for you. I don't know. But don't let the company determine your personal brand. It's your personal brand. So if you want to pay for it, I think it's fine. I think it's a good program. So if 20 of you are interested, send me your names. I'll talk to Precious. We can talk to your leadership and try to get a Toastmasters club for Airtel Tigo. If not, and you want to join one of the private ones out there too, we have 20 clubs. I'm currently the division director, so I can put you in any club you want. Just, so long as you are ready to get serious about your personal development. But anyway, let me take questions. Some people have to leave, so let me quickly take questions so we can wrap this up.
Papa, before we start the questions about Toastmasters, why is it in USD?
Unfortunately, the Toastmasters organization was started in the US and payments go directly to the US office. But I can always check. And because also the dollar and the cedi fluctuate, the rate in dollars is the same. But if I tell you the cedi, I always have to give you the current rate whenever I tell you the cedi. So if you connect with me, I'll give you the current rate based on the club you're going to. But the dollar rate never changes.
All right, thanks.
Thank you too. Angela.
Hi, so I want to know, can you tell us a little more about this Toastmaster program? Yeah, so we can tell whether we are interested or not.
Listening to a Toastmasters thing. Okay. So the way the Toastmasters program works, and Angela, if you contact me later, I'll send you a video as well. The way the Toastmasters program works is we run meetings, which are 1.5 hours to 2 hours a week. For some clubs, it's every week. For some clubs, it's twice a month. And the way the meetings work is you have a president who opens the meeting. He's basically the president of the club. He runs the club. You have 7 executive officers. When the president opens the meeting, he calls somebody who is a Toastmaster for the day, who's like the MC that's running the 2-hour meeting. Then there's what we call a general evaluator who has a team of evaluators, because in Toastmasters, we believe that the growth happens based on the feedback we give you. So the general evaluator basically assesses the entire meeting. People get to run what we call projects, based on a path that they've chosen. So you go, when you become a member, you have access to a portal, and then you choose a project that you want to do, and you start doing speeches or projects based on that project you've chosen. Now, when you have all these people, there are about 3 in a meeting. Anytime somebody talks, you are evaluated by your peer, who is evaluating you based on the project that you chose, and will come and give you feedback as to what you did well, what you could have done better, and overall how they felt. Then we also have other evaluators like the one they were talking about called the R counter. Okay, so today, even while I was talking to you, I've counted how many filler words I've used. I've used about 4. All right. So whenever you say those are detractors from your message. And so these R counters count them, tick, and they give a report on how many filler words each person who spoke used. You have a grammarian who checks your grammar, because we believe that to be a better and effective communicator, you need to have appropriate grammar. We have a timer who makes sure that everybody who speaks or does a project or does anything on stage falls within the right time. So there's an agenda which has your time, and the timer shows green, yellow, red cards to make sure that you stay regulated within your time. At the end of the meeting, the general evaluator comes to give a general impression of the meeting, things that we could have done better, etc. That's the communication part and the leadership part. The leadership comes from the way you serve the club, the way you serve the community, and the other projects that you do that may go beyond or out of Toastmasters. Each club or each group is called a club or a chapter. 4 of those groups fall within what we call an area. In Ghana, 5 of those areas fall within what we call a division. We're not a district yet. We're within a district which is made up of 15 countries in West Africa called District 94. But the whole Ghana is a division, okay? So I'm in charge of the Ghana division, all right? Our goal is to build about 60 clubs, which would ensure that we have more members, we have more. So I'm very excited that you guys are excited about Toastmasters. What Toastmasters has done for me, because I've been in for 10 years, is 1, it made me a better communicator. I always knew how to talk, but I wasn't communicating. I wasn't effective in communicating. And so it's helped me shape my communication. It's helped me to become a better leader because of the service. And the other thing is, it's helped me to take feedback better and learn to give feedback as well, which is also very, very, very important. The new program Pathways is even more amazing than the old one that I joined in, okay? And there are stages that you move through. So I'm what you call a distinguished Toastmaster. That is the highest level you can get to in Toastmaster. So there are progressive distinctions that you can roll through as you build yourself in the Toastmasters program. So Toastmasters is the best thing that, I mean, for me, has happened to me. The next thing I want to say is, even this year, we've decided that we want to collaborate with Rotary, you know, so there's going to be a lot more building on the community, because Rotary is now very heavily involved with Toastmasters and the Alena. So those of you who know about Rotary, we are now looking at a few collaborations as well. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, it does. Just a follow-up. So it runs for how long usually?
When you say you mean the meetings are an hour and a half to 1 hour.
No, not the meetings. I mean, so until when would you say that
it's
you are
a
there?
self-paced program. So you decide how far you want to go. You decide how fast you want to go. You decide when you get off. So for some people, they joined and they decided they just want to be competent communicators. When they became competent communicators after doing their first 10 projects, they left. I decided to go all the way to distinguished Toastmaster. And currently, we only have 5 in the country, 4 ladies and myself. Okay, but I was the first to achieve it here. Now, I decided to go all the way. Okay, but even after I went all the way, when the program changed and we had a new program called Pathways, I decided to start again. Now, in Pathways, you're only required to do 2 out of the 11 paths to become to make it to distinguished Toastmaster level. I decided I want to do all 11. That's a personal choice. Okay. And then also part of the program requires you to be, I mean, to get to the distinguished Toastmaster, besides the projects, you also need to serve as an officer in a club. So like president all the way to sergeant at arms, or become an area director, which is somebody who is in charge of clubs, or become a division director like I am. So you serve in leadership positions as well, and you grow a leadership that way. So really, it's up to you. For some, it's a lifetime. Some have been in Toastmasters 30, 40, 50 years. Okay. I've been in Toastmasters 10 years. So it's really up to you when you want to get off, where you want to get off, and why you're joining. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Any other questions about personal branding or Toastmasters? Yeah.
You suggested one last book that you wanted us to
Persuasion
read.
by Dr.
I didn't get
Cialdini.
the name of the book, so if you can please go over it.
Persuasion, Dr. Robert Cialdini.
Persuasion.
Yes, by Dr. Robert Cialdini, Cialdini. Guys, I have 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Wow, precious. No excuse for why we shouldn't have a Toastmasters club in Airtel Tigo. I have 10 names so far, and I know some of them are also going to reach out to you. We are making this happen. Can everybody add their phone numbers, please, just in case Precious doesn't know you, so we know how to reach you. Please, your full name and your phone number, please, so we know how to reach you. Any other questions, please? Okay, if you don't have any questions, let me quickly say this. So the personal branding is actually part of a package that I run called the Placebo Dialogues. And I basically have put all my, well, let's say I started working at the age of 16. So let's say my 26 years experience. I've basically put together my 26 years experience, but it goes beyond that, you know, together in 7 key models, okay, that make up a package called the Placebo, which I think is very key for people to build on themselves and build on their personal development. Placebo is personal branding, which is P, leadership, which is L, adaptability, which is key for the current times now, critical thinking, effective communication, bonding, and then ownership. Okay, so just to let you know, Placebo, these are the 7 topics that I'm key on pushing in the different places that we are. Cynthia, I see your hand up.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, this is just on the lighter notes. You're ending, so just this is just on the lighter notes. Okay. I see Toastmasters coming from the gender side. we all can be Toastmasters, right? But how come it is masters? And
so no, it's a very legitimate question. It's come up a lot of
so that's on the
time
light
when
note.
Toastmasters was founded in
Yes.
1954. It was originally founded for men because the person who founded it was from the YMCA. It was much later, a number of years later, that the first woman was inducted into the program, and the name has never changed. I think they've still not
should be
changed.
looking at that.
Yeah, well, that would be from the international office, but I'm sure it's come up quite a bit because even within my experience, a lot of people have brought it up. I think probably the reason they've not changed the name, and I'll try to reach out to the Leadership International to find out, but I think the reason they've not changed the name is it's become so imprinted as a brand that they find it difficult to change the name. I think that's what the issue is. Okay, because
Yeah,
Toastmasters is mentioned in movies, it's in books, it's in, so the name. But what we do to compensate for that is sometimes when you are calling out a Toastmaster, you say, Madam Toastmaster. So the name is a brand, but it doesn't mean you're a man. So Madam Toastmaster or, something like that.
Thank you. I said it was on the lighter note.
No, but it's fine. It's a very legitimate question. These are things we need to be thinking and discussing.
Okay.
Yeah. If there's nobody else asking a question, I'll go ahead and I'll go ahead and end the class. However, I'll leave the chat open for another 20 minutes so that whoever wants to add their numbers can, and I can capture it appropriately. Thank you all for your time. You've been a wonderful audience. You've stuck it out. I know some of you had to go for meetings, but 67 of you are still here. I'm really grateful. And because I don't want to spoil my brand, I made a promise. I need to stick to it. I said I was going to call out somebody based on their brand. And I think I have somebody here. So let me quickly mention him. Is Enoch Cranton still on the line? Enoch Cranton, are you still here? Okay, is there anybody here who knows Enoch Cranton?
He's actually there.
Yes, we all know him.
Okay, fine. How would you describe Enoch Cranton? Are you sure he's not here?
I think he spoke earlier. He was here.
He's here.
He's still here? Enoch, stop hiding.
Yeah.
Enoch, where are you? Speak up.
Hello, yes, I'm
Enoch
here.
is here. Yes. Enoch, describe yourself. What do you think your brand is?
I think I'm honest.
Okay.
Very transparent, go straight to the point, let's get things done. And that is it.
So honest, transparent, go straight to the point, let's get things done. That's Enoch's brand as far as he's concerned. That's the brand he's pushing.
Maybe you can just add passionate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're passionate. Okay. All right. So I'm sorry?
Very
passionate. Okay, all right, cool. So let's share what somebody thinks about Enoch, and the rest of you can agree, okay? Enoch Cranton is full of passion and result-oriented, a go-getter. Do you all agree?
Yes.
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 Spot on. Spot on.
Yes.
You must be the person that said 10 over 10 because your brand is obviously aligned with what people think of you. Guys, so you see how easy that process was. So you can always check with your people to find out if what you think of your brand is aligned with what people think. Okay. Thank you guys so much. And I hope we get to engage again. Thank you, those of you who put your name down because you want to be Toastmasters. I guarantee you it's the best decision you've made in your lives. I really appreciate the effort. I appreciate those who invited me to share with you as well. I don't know if Stanley's still on the line. Precious and Co. Thank you very much for this opportunity. And God bless you all.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
God bless you too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
That is going to bring your work, okay?
Bye.